Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again with a great virtual get-together. This month, we've got Paul Armson all the way from the UK. We are really excited to share what Paul's been doing for the last 3 decades, teaching financial planners, teaching financial advisors, and Kirsty will give you a little bit more of a background for those that are not yet familiar with Paul. As a reminder, we try to do this virtual get-together every month on behalf of the Western Cape Committee for the Financial Planning Institute, and that includes all the members and people still on their junior to become a member of the Financial Planning Institute. And the purpose of that is to build a community, right? So we want to pull people in to start talking about how to deliver better financial planning and better financial advice. Another way of doing that is joining the FPI convention in October, the 26th and the 27th of October. Please don't miss that. There's 11.5 CPD points for all of the people that tend to want more CPD points. There's even some ethics points if you're struggling with that. The prices have been reduced drastically, so it's now 2,500 Rand to join this convention, and my ticket's booked, Kirsty's ticket's booked, and I think it will be immense value if you can join us in October for the FPI convention. We have quite a few people on today's stream, so please add your comments in the live chat. I can see everyone's greeting, which is awesome to see and feel the atmosphere even in these virtual events where we can't necessarily see one another like in the normal days. So please subscribe to the channel. You would have seen the previous talks that we've had with Kate Holmes and with Daniel Crosby. Today's one's just going to be on the same level and even higher, just diving into the human skills that financial planners need and seek so desperately in these times. So I'm going to hand over to Kirsty to kick it off.
Thanks, Louis, and it's a really warm welcome to everybody this afternoon who's joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kirsty Scully. I am the chair-elect of the Financial Planning Institute of Southern Africa. However, at the moment, I'm talking to you as a member of the Western Cape Committee. So it's my privilege this afternoon to be able to introduce you to Paul Armson. For those of you who participated in the Life 20 Summit, which was held earlier during lockdown, if my memory serves me correctly, it was somewhere in June, beginning of June, Paul, as well as Mitch Anthony, actually managed the whole summit, and it was a fascinating summit, and I certainly learned quite a lot from that. Clearly, Paul is very, very much a thought leader within our profession. He's got a particularly compelling story to tell, and hence, he is the founder of Inspiring Advisors, which is an organization which is specifically set up to coach financial planners. I've been a member of his organization for a number of months, and I've certainly benefited from it. He's authored 3 books already, and I can go through the names of them, and later on we'll also have them on the screen for you. The first one is called Enough: How Much Money Do You Need for the Rest of Your Life? The second one is The 7 Habits of Highly Successful Financial Planners. And the third one is The Financial Advisor Guide: How to Succeed in a Fee-Only World. And I know that's going to be of particular interest to some of our listeners, just judging from questions we've had on previous interviews that we've done. So, Paul, a huge welcome. And we'd like to have you up on the screen now to chat to us. And I'm going to start, if you don't mind, by asking you the first question. And basically, if I think about the books that you've written, and I've read all your books, certainly enjoyed them all, and been a member of your Inspiring Advisors organization, I know your background, but I really would like to ask you to perhaps just give our listeners a very short version of your background and why it is that you started getting into lifestyle financial planning.
Okay, So there's a clue in the question there, isn't there? There's a clue in the question giving you the short version, because you've obviously been bored by the big version. Yeah, so hello everybody. Thanks for having me on this webinar. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so my journey into financial planning, and more recently lifestyle financial planning, and more recently coaching other advisors to deliver lifestyle financial planning is an interesting one, I think. A very quick version of this, of my story then, if you like. I fell into financial services as a financial trainee, financial consultant at the age of 22, which was 1982. So it's a fair few years ago. The grey hair probably shows that. But so for 40 years then, I've been in the financial services profession. And as I say, I fell into it. I'm guessing some people on this call also fell into the job of being a financial advisor. I'm guessing that, okay? So you could put something in the comments if you wanted to, but I'm guessing a fair number of you fell into the job rather than actually chose the vocation. So there I am. I joined financial services at the age of 22. I spent the first 8 years of my life doing what financial advisors do, which is basically giving product-focused advice, mortgages, insurances, pensions, savings plans, and so on. So that's basically my first 8 years. Luckily, the first company I worked with, I had some good mentors, and the one guy in particular made me think big about possibilities of having a good and successful life. So I'll always be thankful to him. So I basically worked bloody hard for 8 years trying to build a great life for myself and for my family. Had all the nice things, was having a great time doing the job as a financial advisor. But I was busy, and I'm guessing some of you people on you guys and girls on the call now find yourself exceedingly busy at times, and that was me. And that's when something happened to me, I guess, that changed the course of my life in financial services. And I need to share that with you because that's basically my makeup. This is what I'm about, really. What happened to me at the age of 29, was I was busy, working all the hours that the universe sends, taking work home, seeing clients in the evening, seeing clients at weekends, revising, taking exams, studying, learning about new products, busy, okay? And then all of a sudden, something happens then that completely changes my life, effectively. What happened was my mother died suddenly. Okay, now we've all lost people in our families, I'm sure. And my mom was 59 when she died. Okay, now the reason why I'm telling you this is because my dad, throughout my time growing up as a child, my dad was never there for me or my mom and my family, because he was always working really, really hard as a welder in a factory, as his main job, where he did shifts. All the hours he could do, he would work in the factory. And when he wasn't working in the factory, he would do part-time jobs for people, cutting their hedges, cutting their lawns, painting their houses. Basically, my dad had an incredible work ethic, and he was always out there working really hard to try and make money for the family. So that's why when I joined financial services, I suppose inherited my dad's work ethic, and I worked bloody hard. And in financial services, if you work really, really hard, you should know this, you can do really, really well. And I was doing really, really well. But when my mum died, I noticed something in me. Obviously, I'd lost my mother, and that was terrible for me. But more importantly, I noticed the grief in my dad, because he'd always been saying to my mom, one day, Mary, when I've retired, we'll have plenty of time to do things together. One day, Mary, we'll buy that caravan. One day, we'll do this, Mary. One day, we'll all these things they were going to do one day. But I never did anything in the now because he was always working. Now, what happened then, when I saw this grief of my dad, this regret that he was then going through with the loss of my mom, he'd felt this immense grief that she was gone and he'd never really been there for her. I looked in the mirror one day and I realized I was making the same mistake as my dad, because I was always at work. I was always doing all the hours that the universe sends. I was always busy. And I realized that in that moment that I was making the same mistake as my dad. He was always working and so was I. I was getting very different financial results to my dad, but it's still the same story. I was busy, never quite there for my family. When I was at home with my family, I probably wasn't really at home because my head was probably somewhere else running my business. I started my business at the age of 25, my financial advice business. So there I am then with this life-changing thing of my mom dying and noticing this grief in my dad, and more importantly, realizing that I was making the same mistake as my dad. And I decided there and then to stop being a busy fool, basically, and to wake up to this fact that life is not a rehearsal, that precious time is slipping away. Even at the age of 30, I started to tune into this reality that, goodness me, time flies. And the older you get, the faster time seems to go. So that's what happened to me. Now, what really happened to me, though, about 2 weeks after my mum died, I then went to see my first prospective client about my job, okay, financial advice. And when I went to see this couple, they were about 60, and I was then talking to them about the life they had and the life they wanted. And I started to tune into some things they were saying to me, because they started to say to me, when I asked them about their goals and what they were trying to achieve, they were saying things like, one day, Paul, we'd like to do this. One day, Paul, we'd like to do that. One day, Paul, we'd like to do... They kept giving me this list of all the things they would like to do one day. Now, because I think of the grief that I was going through because of the loss of my mom, but more importantly, acutely tuned in to my dad's grief and regret, I noticed these words they were saying about one day. And in that moment, in that meeting, I slammed the table and basically challenged them and said, what do you mean by one day? What do you mean by one day? Why not do these things now? Why not do these things now? You've got the money to do these things. Why not do these things now? And basically, I'm calming down a little bit there, basically. But I was very, very abrupt to these people because I challenged them about this stupid thing they were saying called one day. And this emotion, this grief inside me made me come out with this statement about why not do these things now? And I went a bit quiet. And that's when I realized I felt that I needed to explain to them why I'd said what I'd said. And I apologized. And I explained to them about the loss of my mom. I explained to them about my dad's grief. And I explained to them that my dad would give anything to have one more day with my mom. But it's too late. They had all the money and all the time, but they were still putting things off. They were still living like they had forever, basically. And I don't know what it was. It was just this weird state that I was in made that happen. It was weird. And they basically, what happened from that meeting was they really appreciated what I'd said. They were really concerned and pleased that I'd said what I'd said. But more importantly, they then said to me, it's all right, Paul, you saying to us, do these things now, but can we afford to do these things now? Can we afford to do more travel? Can we afford to retire already? Can we do? And that's when I realized that I'd got this little secret weapon that I hadn't really used fully called cash flow modeling, which is designed to help people to answer that question. So I then explained to them that I would go away, crunch some numbers, and find out where they were heading financially through some serious cash flow modeling software that I've been using for some time, or rather intending to use for some time. And then I went back to them basically and helped them to see what their financial future looks like with cash flow modeling. They could therefore see they were never going to run out of money. They could afford to do these things now. They could afford to get on with the life that they really wanted rather than putting off stuff forever. Now, the reason why I'm telling you that is that was the penny dropping moment for me that made me realize that something had changed with my relationship with clients. Previously, arguably, whenever I saw a client, it was me there to talk to them about a financial product or investment that I was recommending. And therefore, in a way, it was always a little bit like me versus them. They were here and I was here. And I was saying to them, this is what you should do. And they were saying, are you sure this is what I should do, Paul? And I'm saying, yes, this is what you should do, right? I haven't got a clue whether it's going to be the right fund next year, but that's basically what the industry tells you to do, isn't it? So there I was previously having a product-focused service proposition, which was basically a little bit like this. When that meeting happened, and when I finished that meeting, I realized the dynamics had changed completely. It was no longer me on selling products on behalf of the industry. It was me connecting with them about something far more important, and that is their life, their future, and this amazing thing called time, and how time seems to speed up the faster, the older you get, and how it's not a rehearsal. I was connecting with them about something far deeper than a boring financial product. Financial products are just tools in the bag, as I started to refer to them as. And that's when I started to realize then that every client can connect with that story about life not being a rehearsal, about precious time slipping away the older you get. And I started to really think it through about my service proposition, and then started to gravitate then towards a lifestyle financial planning service proposition. And the best way of describing lifestyle financial planning, I think, is it's design. Lifestyle financial planning, which is what I teach now, is financial planning with an end in mind. And the end isn't some tax saving or a mortgage paid off or a daughter's wedding paid for. Those are just merely tasks. Lifestyle financial planning is helping clients to identify, achieve, and maintain their desired lifestyle without ever running out of money or dying with too much. So that's really what lifestyle financial planning is all about. It's about helping people to get a great life. It's about helping people to do stuff in the time they've got left on this planet. So that became my total focus. And I decided from that moment, A, to stop being a busy fool, B, to start planning time off before I book time on. And that's what I urge everyone to do here, by the way, on this call. Less on rehearsal, your time is slipping by. The older you get, as you know. And therefore, I started to book time off before I booked time on. And I worked the months that I wanted to work, seeing the clients that I wanted to see, delivering a service proposition, which was the same for every single client. Every client had the same experience day in, day out, which meant I got really good at delivering that service proposition because that's what I did. And that's basically how I built a small, successful, highly profitable business. And then I decided to follow my own advice and semi-retire at the age of 45. And then people were then asking me how I did that. And then that led me into helping them learn how to do it. And that's why I'm an accidental coach now. I help other people to deliver that type of service proposition. So that wasn't such a short description, was it, Kirsty? Sorry about that.
Thanks, Paula. Yeah, I think it's shorter than I've heard it before. So well done on that. Paul, one of the things that we quite often see a number of financial advisors or number of financial planners feel is that there seems to be that their clients feel that there's a lack of trust within our profession. And I think most of us have seen this from time to time. And the general public quite often has this extensive concern as to whether their financial planner or financial advisor really actually does have their best interest at heart. So what do you think we should be doing to eliminate this problem? And perhaps I'm going to suggest, as you answer, perhaps you could give us what you consider to be the difference between financial planning and financial advice. But let's start with really, how do we demonstrate that we are definitely acting on behalf of our clients?
Okay, so that's a really good question. What I would suggest, first of all, is that this thing we're in, this world, this financial services world, it is the most amazing world that we could be. I think financial planning is the sexiest job in the world. Okay, that's what I believe it is. It's the sexiest job in the world. We change people's lives. We help people to do stuff before it's too late. We take care of people. We basically help people to get a life well lived through wise money management is what we actually do. So financial planning is amazing. It changes people's lives is what it does. People on this call know the amazing power of proper financial planning. So therefore, why don't people queue for our service? I mean, that's the thing. I've never had anyone, has anyone on this call ever been to their office, turned up at their office one morning and then found a queue of people all the way around the block waiting to see them to do a financial plan? I doubt it, okay? So I doubt anyone's ever queued for your service, and I doubt if anyone's really ever asked for a financial plan. I doubt that, okay? If they have, you're lucky, or they don't know what a financial plan is what I would guess. So we've got this amazing thing, but consumers don't know what it is we do, I believe. Proper financial planning isn't understood by consumers. And I also believe, and this is where I'm a little bit outspoken, but I believe that proper financial planning isn't understood by most financial advisors. And the opportunity for you, if you can really get and communicate what proper financial planning is really all about, is you can distance yourself from those advisors that shouldn't be trusted, okay? So we're talking about trust. The trust issue, I think, is that on the whole, I don't honestly believe that financial advisors aren't trusted. I think it's the industry that's not trusted. So that's the difference here. It's the industry that's not trusted, certainly in the UK, pension providers, life insurance companies, the big institutions, the banks, that's really what's not trusted, okay? Now, financial advisors get blamed for everything that goes pear-shaped in financial services, as we all know. Certainly in the UK, that's what the case is. So it's not necessarily financial advisors that aren't trusted, it's the industry. So my advice then to any advisor, any financial planner, certainly on this call, is to do this. You step away from the industry, okay? So the way I describe this is over here, I always think of the industry as being over here, okay? The industry is over here and your client is over here. Now, how it works is for years, and I'll share the UK situation. I'm not sure, again, totally where South Africa is compared to the UK in certain areas of legislative change, but I know that you're on an interesting journey. But in the past in the UK, the industry's over here and clients are over there. And in the past, not necessarily now, but in the past, the industry wanted as much of its financial products sold as possible to as many people over here as possible, okay? So the industry therefore used financial advisors as a mechanism to distribute its financial products. And the idea was any advisor was remunerated normally by commission to sell as many financial products to as many people as possible over there. And it worked brilliantly. For years and years and years, it worked brilliantly. Why did it work brilliantly? Because the industry got its stuff sold and consumers got free advice. And in the middle, financial advisors made a good income selling stuff for commission, okay? So that's how it's always been. Now, in the UK, and again, throughout the world is changing with regard to remuneration and commission and banning of commission and fees and so on. So now in the UK, the industry isn't paying financial advisors anymore to distribute financial products. What's happening now is consumers are paying the advisor for financial advice through fees. Now, where the problem is, a lot of financial advisors have still got a product service proposition that revolves around the sale and recommendation of financial products. And yet they're now being paid by the client. And now clients are questioning the value in those fees. But what we have to do, I believe, is we have to step away from the industry, okay? And we have to basically put our arm around our client and demonstrate and prove to them that our service is about helping them to get what they want. So the industry wants products sold and distributed. Clients don't necessarily want financial products. What clients want is a better life. So we've got to demonstrate that our service is designed totally around helping that client to get and keep the life that they want most. That's how we demonstrate, build trust, certainly. That's how we demonstrate value. And that's how we prove that we're on the client side, not on the industry side. The industry's products are there for us to use when necessary to get the job done. But that is not, financial products should not be the center of our service proposition. Our clients should be the center of our service proposition. But how do we do that when most advisors on this call, I'm guessing, like I was for years, and like most financial advisors in the UK, are bombarded day in, day out by, I call it the financial porn. The financial porn is the financial trade press, the many marketings of this world, the financial advisor magazines, the financial trade press that wants to promote financial products on behalf of the industry and make a fortune in advertising revenue. That's what's going on in your life, is they're trying to get at you to think about financial products all of the time. And they get so good at this that they probably leave you very little time to focus on what matters most, which is not the financial products, it's the client. Okay, that's where we should be focusing our time and attention, on what our clients want, not on what the industry wants, which is the sale of more financial products. So the way we build trust, I think, is to step away from the industry and focus our service totally on the client. And I think this is where I personally got particularly good at making it clear to clients where I was coming from as an advisor. And I think Kirsty would like me to share my concept. Is that okay, Kirsty, if I share my concept here?
Yes, absolutely.
This is a thing I think.
Please talk about the different hats.
Okay. So I use this as a method of helping advisors to see what I call the three really important parts of your job as a financial advisor. So I call this, okay, so lifestyle financial planning. Okay, so bearing in mind, lifestyle financial planning, I believe, is proper financial planning, because it's financial planning with an end in mind, and the end is helping clients to get and keep a great life. Okay, that's what lifestyle financial planning is really all about. But the question is, how do we communicate that? When clients don't even know what that is, when clients think that we just sell financial products, when clients think that we can't be trusted, okay, let's face it, that's what they think, okay? How do we conduct ourselves in such a way that makes clients go, wow, why don't all financial advisors do what you do, Paul? Okay, and that's what I got good at communicating with clients, and this is what I now teach other advisors. So one of the most important things that I try and communicate to advisors, as I would with a client, is that there are three parts to your job. Okay, now you already do these things. So every advisor on this call, if you're worth your salt, okay, if you're a decent financial advisor, you already do these three things. But the chances are you probably don't communicate these three things particularly well. And it's not your fault, it's the industry's fault, okay? Let me tell you what these three roles are then. These three, I call them the three hats that you wear. And the first hat that you wear, or rather one of the hats that you wear, let me tell you what the hats are. The hats that you wear are, first of all, whether you like this or not, you wear this hat, okay, is that of a life planner, okay? The second hat that you wear, it's a really important hat that you wear, is that of a financial planner. And the third and least important hat that you wear is that of a financial advisor, okay? So those are the three really important roles that you fulfill in your client's life, okay? You do this to some degree already, okay? Now, the chances are you may not communicate it as well as you could, and often it's because the industry wants you to stay focused on one particular hat. Guess which one? This one, okay? So let me just talk to you then about what I believe. This is only my personal belief, okay? You can take it with a pinch of salt if you want to, but it certainly served me well. And that's this, that your role as a financial advisor is whenever you do anything that covers any of these subjects, okay? When you talk about or give advice on investments, pensions, retirement products, protection, life insurance, health insurance, mortgages, borrowings of any type, risk profiling, trusts, rebalancing a portfolio, and savings plans, etc. Okay, so hopefully you can see that list. Basically, it's anything to do with talking about, reviewing, recommending, changing, switching, analyzing. That, to me, is purely financial advice. That's all it is. And I do believe it's the least important part of your job, okay? Now, where we have a challenge then in the financial planning world is there is an awful lot of advisors who are chartered or certified financial planners. They talk about themselves as financial planners. They call themselves financial planners. They say they do financial plans, but really all they do is that. That's all they ever focus on and talk about, okay? And it's not their fault. It's the industry's fault. So guess what? This is the industry then, isn't it? This is the industry that wants to manufacture and promote financial products through you, the advisor, okay? That is just financial advice in my mind. So let's now talk about the other two hats, okay? The first, the most important hat that you wear is what I call life planning, okay? Now let's not get too hung up about the term life planner. To me, life planner is basically you knowing your client exceedingly well. That's what it really is all about. It's you understanding your client, their story. That's what life planning is all about. So let's just talk about it. It's all about your client. Okay, that's what life planning is all about. Your client. Okay, where are they? Where are they now in their life? How do they get to where they are now? In other words, what's their story? Okay, everyone's got a story. Every single one of your clients has got a story. They've got a story as to how they got to where they are in their life right now. And it's important you understand a little bit and a lot over time about their story. Because when you start to understand your client's story, that does something really important, and that's build rapport, and it builds trust in their eyes because you're interested in them, not their money. Okay, so this is why we always have to do this first. Life planning is the first job the first hat that you wear in any client relationship. It's you getting to know your client and their story. And also finding out enough. Basically, everybody wants to know how much is enough. That's why I wrote a book on the subject, okay? But enough for what? What's the money for in the first place? We need to know that. We need to get that client to understand what the money's for. What do they want out of life before it's too late? This is called life planning in my mind, okay? It's basically doing fantastic fact-finding meetings where you really find out about your client, not their money, about your client, about the life they've got now and the life they want to maintain and keep going forward. That's what life planning is all about, okay? So when you've understood your client and you've asked great questions and you've built that rapport, guess what that does? It builds trust, because you're not after their money. Okay, you don't even talk. If this is your first meeting, you don't even talk about these things. These here are just tools in your bag, and we'll come to that in a second. So first job is life planning. Second job, next most important job, is financial planning. So what's financial planning then? Surely it's very simple. Financial planning is answering this question here. That's what financial planning is in my mind. That's all that financial planning is designed to do. It's answer this question: how much is enough for that client to get and keep that life? That's what financial planning really is when you think about it. It's not some sexy tax planning thing. It's not some financial product. It's helping clients to understand the answer to that question: how much is enough? And what that means is we need to understand that client, the total situation about that client. We need to know all about their assets, all about their liabilities, obviously. We need to know about their current incomes, all incomes, and more importantly, all their expenditures, okay? Because it's expenditure which answers this question. So basically, that's where cash flow modeling software and crunching the numbers to help identify a client's future. This is a client's lifetime here. That's their death. Let's say they're 50 here. Blue is money coming into their life, and red is money going out. That's their expenditure requirements throughout life. So on this simple example here, is this client here going to run out of money or die with too much? Because that's what we need to answer. So in this example here, that client, I'm guessing, is a not enough. Because I've noticed that in my 25 years of actually seeing clients and delivering lifestyle financial planning, there's only 3 types of clients you're ever going to come across in this world. And the first one are these, not enoughs. So these are people on basic prudent assumptions are not going to have enough money to maintain their future desired lifestyle. And if we're financial planners, we've got to fix that problem. We don't just take and sell them a product. No, we answer that question there. If all we do is sell them a financial product that makes that worse potentially, that's not financial planning. We've got to stop that happening. We've got to get rid of the red, if you like, okay? So we've got to help these people to save more, accumulate more, or spend less, or make decisions about the date they are able to retire. That's what we need to do with these people here. It's no crime to be enough, by the way. There's millions of people who are not enough, but it is a crime to ignore it. And we've got to fix that problem. And that's how we build trust and respect, by helping people to be financially secure. The second type of people that we're going to come across as financial planners are these. Now, every financial advisor likes these types. It's got too muches. So these are people who are never going to run out of money. In fact, they're going to go to their grave here with way, way too much. So the industry loves that, because the industry likes to keep hold of the client's money. That's not good, though. Going to your grave with too much money, I think, is worse than dying running out. Because if you go to your grave with too much money, the chances are you're going to pay an awful lot more tax when you die, possibly. But more importantly, you probably didn't do stuff when you could have done. So our job is to help clients to understand if they've got too much, and then help them to de-risk, to spend more. We need to give them permission to live life now while they still can. This is where you add value, by helping clients to really get the best out of their wealth. What's the point of having wealth if it doesn't give you the life that you want? It's crazy. There's so many people who've got too much money and they still worry about their wealth, because they never understood that that's the type of person that they are. And the third type of person we're going to come across is the just rights. These are people who've got just about the right amount of money for the rest of their life. They need never worry about money ever again. It's perfect. There's only one slight problem. The majority of these people here don't know they're just right. So imagine that for a second. If you've got just about the right amount of money for the rest of your life, you're going to be okay, but you don't know that. How are you going to live your life? You're probably going to go without. You're probably going to still worry about your money when you needn't. So financial planning then is about helping clients like this get the peace of mind in knowing that they are going to be okay. They can book that holiday. They can relax. They can spend their money and enjoy spending their money. They can have the heating on in the winter in South Africa if it's cold right now. It's pretty warm here, by the way. So these are the 3 types of people that I think we will come across when we deliver proper financial planning, okay? And then what we do is we do this first, Then we can do financial planning. Now we can talk about financial products, because only now do we know what financial products are necessary, if any. So the thing I like to communicate to advisors is, if you get really good at delivering lifestyle financial planning, you don't need to sell a financial product to demonstrate your value. These two hats here are a valuable service proposition without the sale of a financial product. And that gives you immense power, that you can talk to clients in the first meeting and say to them, hey, who even says you need a financial product? And that completely blows often clients' minds when you say to them, excuse me, but who even says you need a financial product? Let's first of all talk about you and what you're trying to achieve. Because I used to say to clients is that this is how I do my job. And the reason I do it like this is I do not believe that I've got any right to talk about your money or tell you what to do with it until I understand you and what you're trying to achieve. Until I know about you, I've got no right to talk about your money. And again, this now starts to build trust. It enables clients to relax with you. They will then tell you all sorts of things they've never told anybody else before in their life ever, because they can see your interest is in them and their life, not their money. So this, Kirsty, I believe, is how we build trust in financial planning, by proving that our focus of attention is on our clients, not their money. It's not about building assets under management. It's not about selling financial products. It's about serving clients to help them to get and keep the life that they want most, to ensure they can live the life they want without running out of money or dying with too much. This is what our purpose is in life, I'm convinced. And the Life's Not a Rehearsal business I talked about to you earlier, when my mother died, the outcome of that was me personally waking up to this idea that life is not a rehearsal. And therefore, when I'm having a meeting with a client, I'm looking for what I'm trying to get out of them, what it is they want to achieve in this lifetime. We've all got goals, we've all got aspirations, we've all got wants, we've all got dreams, right? Our job is to find out what those goals and dreams are, to then help those clients achieve that life they want. And then, yes, we'll take care of the money stuff as well. Yeah. Now, when you've done this, of course, clients then trust you with all their money. So you end up doing 10 times more of this here. If you did this well, you will do 10 times more business, but for the right reasons. Does that help, Kirsty?
Yeah, I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head there. And I mean, it's something that I've seen over my 30 odd years in our profession. We need to be there to really help our clients achieve the desired lifestyle that they're looking for. I was going to ask you a question about how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we showing that incredible value? But I think what you've actually done is you've already just explained it. I love the way you demonstrate those three hats. I think that really shows that value that we add. But somebody asked a question, in fact, it was Shannon Clark, and she was asking, I thought a very good question, talking about an elevator pitch. Now, I'm sometimes a little bit uncomfortable in these elevated pitches, but I think if they're worded well, I think they can actually be done used quite efficiently. And she was asking you, what elevator pitch would you use to convey the message specifically about lifestyle financial planning?
Okay, that's a really good question. And you know what? Some elevator pitches sound so sick and rehearsed. They're not pleasant at all. And also I've seen advisors practice an elevator pitch, and they practice in the mirror, and then when the opportunity arises to use that elevator pitch, it all comes out backwards and it's all a bit embarrassing. So you've got to be really careful about elevator pitches. Well, there's two parts of this really. First of all, I personally believe at this moment in time in the evolution of financial services, bearing in mind people don't understand the difference between financial planning and financial advice yet, okay? And most financial advisors, don't shoot me, but that's basically what I believe, is that most financial advisors get this bit here mixed up with financial planning, okay? So consumers don't even understand the difference between financial planning and financial advice. And it's going to be some years until we all get our act together, us on this call here, and we all did a job like this, right? That's how I believe. This is the only way we're going to get the message across about what we actually deliver. So the problem is then, we've got a consumer, we've got the public out there. Every client needs this, right? So you're never going to be short of clients ever again if you can get this in your head and in your heart, okay? You then choose the type of clients you want to have. But don't expect anyone to come to you asking for lifestyle financial planning or even understanding what it is. I always say that clients won't understand what this is until they experience it for themselves. So what we've got to do as proper financial planners is step up to the mark and make sure that every single client that we've got experiences the benefits of proper financial planning through this process. That's what we've got to do. That's the only way they'll ever understand what it is. Because when they experience it, they love it to bits. They say things like, well, why don't all financial advisors do this? And then you get goosebumps when they say that. And more importantly, they tell other people. And that's how we're going to change it. It's going to be a long haul, but we can do it. So we can't go out there expecting people to know what this is. And if we come out with something sexy like I'm a lifestyle financial planner, they'll probably look at you a bit weird. And in the same way that in the UK, there's lots of people who set themselves up as life coaches, okay? And it's like, if you try and promote yourself as a life coach, it's like, I don't want a life coach, thank you. If you're dealing with successful people, then get your own life sorted first before you try and coach me on mine. You know, that we've got to be careful here. So it's a very difficult thing to sell, but it's not difficult to demonstrate and let them experience, okay? So I don't really know of an elevator pitch you could use. My elevator pitch, and I talk about this and help advisors to master this, is that I always used to refer to myself. If anybody ever said, what do I do? I'd say I'm an alternative financial advisor. I tell people the truth. That gets attention, I can tell you. Okay, I'm an alternative financial advisor. I tell people the truth. I'm not saying that other financial advisors are lying. I'm just not telling you, may not be quite telling you the truth. And what I mean is the truth about money. And the truth about money is what needs to happen for you to get and keep the life that you want most. That's what the truth about money is all about. And this is what I help clients to understand. And I think one of the benefits right now, I mean, I'm going off on the subject here slightly, but this weird situation that we all find ourselves in now, the new normal, every single person on this planet pretty well must have been considering their own mortality. Would you agree? Nearly every single person must have been thinking about what do they want their new normal to look like. And this is your golden opportunity. Right now is a golden opportunity to connect with people in a whole different way. It's a perfect opportunity to introduce a new side of you that's always been there, but it's possibly been buried by this stuff, okay? Because that's what the industry wants you to do, remember. It wants to bury this. And I know for a fact that after this call, you're going to go back to your office or your desk or your computer or your inbox, and you're going to be bombarded by that. And I'm here to nag you to stay focused on this stuff here. That's my purpose in life, basically. So yeah, I mean, the alternative financial advisor script is one I used for years as an elevator pitch. It gets attention, and it works particularly well because clients know that financial advisors aren't trusted. By you saying the alternative, you basically say that we believe in doing the complete opposite to most financial advisors. And then there's lots of different ways you can use that, as I cover in my training program.
Yeah. In your training program, you talk very much about an industry versus a profession. Can you kind of give us that difference?
Yeah, I think there's a whole chapter of it in my book. I actually wrote this out here to try and hold up to the camera, but it's not very recognizable here. But I was going to hold up the fact that an industry, right? Industry, this is a dictionary definition. Industry is the economic activity concerned with the processing of raw materials and manufacture and distribution of goods. Okay, that's an industry. A profession is a paid occupation, especially one that involves prolonged training and a formal qualification. So what are we? An industry or a profession? So the reason why I wrote that in my book is I'm amazed by how many advisors talk about our industry. Our industry this, our industry that. The trouble with our industry is our industry. We're not an industry. You've got to change the mindset, change your language. We are a profession acting on behalf of our clients. And occasionally, when necessary, we use the industry's products that they manufacture. And when we use those products, ideally, we want to try and use the cheapest, best product for that purpose. We don't get hung up about the product. Okay, the product is just a tool in our bag that we use to get the job done. That's all they are. Financial products are just tools in your bag to get the job done. But the danger is we get carried away by the pros and cons and benefits of this portfolio versus that portfolio. Clients on the whole don't care. And if they do care, it's because you created it.
Right. And you really are emphasizing why we, and I'm talking about everybody who's listening, all the South African financial planners, all the financial planners from around the world that are listening to this talk today, we need to talk about our profession. We must get away from talking about the industry. Let's professionalize our profession by right from ground roots, actually calling it a profession.
Absolutely. One little idea, this one little tip. In fact, I run a conference that some of you may have heard about called Back to Why, BACK, number 2, letter Y, backtowhy.co.uk. And that was a conference that I decided to put on because I was sick and tired with most financial planning conferences that I went to. Whenever I went to a financial planning conference, it was full of product provider sponsors, investment managers, fund houses talking about their latest new fund and giving away their free pens, free golf balls, free iPhone chargers in the exhibition hall and so on. And I was annoyed that they were even in that conference, right? And people used to hate me for going on about it. But basically, my view then, with this in mind, okay, if you really believe the 3 hats, right? Life planner, financial products are things you do after you've done financial planning. So why would they be in a financial planning conference? All that product focus, all those free pens. Why are they even in that room? Was my message basically, and I was going on about it. And one of my Inspiring Advisor members says, "Stop complaining about this, Paul. Why don't you put on your own conference then, with no product providers, no sponsors? Why don't you do it?" So I did. And yeah, it's a bit of a risk, but that's now 5 years old, 6 years old, and we have 500 advisors from around the planet coming to Back to Why. This isn't the pitch for Back to Why, by the way, but this is my belief that we've got to step away from the industry, and therefore we've got to be careful about taking freebies from conferences. Turn them down, walk away from them, hold your head high. Don't have a free lunch provided for you by a product provider. Don't do it. Buy your own lunch. That's my belief. Sorry, Kirsten, I'm not sure I answered your question.
No, you have. I think that's sufficient. Time is marching on, so we need to start drawing to an end. But before we do that, just a couple more quick questions. I know you're a big reader. Could you possibly give us your top 5 books? And I know that you've passed them on to Louis already, so I'm going to ask Louis to actually bring them up onto the screen now as well. But perhaps just give us a little bit of a breakdown there of those books. Thanks.
Yeah. So this is quite a weird mix of books for a financial advisor. I hear some financial advisors recommending their list, and it's all Nick Murray and sort of passive philosophers on investing and so on. But no, my top 5 list are really to do with you and your own personal development and your own ability to think big about your life, really, and also big about your clients' lives. So the first one is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is all about being present. And that's all about seeing the ego in ourselves and also seeing the ego in our clients too. But more importantly, being present. So when you're with a client, you're actually with that client. You know what it's like. If you're with a client, it's important to be there with them and not have your head racing everywhere about all sorts of things you've got to do next and say next and so on. It's about being present with another human being. And that's how you build trust. Think and Grow Rich is a classic book from the 1920s or 30s. It's a really, really old book. Napoleon Hill was requested to write the book by the richest man in the world at the time, and it's all about the greats, basically, the industrialists of the greats like F.W. Woolworth, Charles Schwab, Henry Ford. It's the success principles that drive massive success. The E-Myth by Michael Gerber is all about building a business that works without you. That book inspired me in 2 ways. One, to create systems and processes, which is what I now teach, by the way, so no need to reinvent the wheel. So the E-Myth is all about creating a business that has systems and processes and a way of doing things. And I think that's important that we all have that in our way of working. It's also exceedingly good for understanding the mind of your business owner clients. I personally like to deal with small business owners because I find them fascinating. And therefore, getting into the mind of a small business owner who probably bought the myth about being an entrepreneur, that book is really good for helping you to understand and communicate with clients. Wayne Dyer, classic book about see it when you believe it, rather than you'll believe it when you see it. It's all about basically having faith in what it is you're trying to achieve. And Seth Godin, I'm a massive Seth Godin fan. It's all about stepping up to the mark, really, and feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So those are 3 good books that I'd recommend. Not quite on the normal financial advisor list, but do the opposite to whatever do the opposite to what every other financial advisor is doing, remember.
It's always good to see some really alternative books because, we quite often get recommended by a number of the same books. So thank you for that. Just towards the end.
I noticed a comment here from Cobus here saying, hopefully you are a profession, but Paul refers to the industry all the time. I'm not sure that I have. If I use the word industry, I often put in inverted commas, but yeah, the industry is not what I'm about.
Okay. Just before we finish off now, as I mentioned earlier, you're the founder of Inspiring Advisors, and I've been with you and your group for a number of months now, and I've certainly benefited hugely from it. But what I was going to say is you have really been given all our members something very special, and that is that you've offered them a 30-day free trial. And there we are. Louis put something up on the screen right now. Where can people find more information about this?
Okay,
I'll let you talk through it.
Okay, so it's just an overview. So for years then, when I sort of semi-retired, advisors were asking me to teach them what I did and how I did it. And I then started running workshops and running around the country. And I really enjoyed doing that, but it was exhausting. And also I found that advisors would come back to another workshop and I'd tell them the same thing again, and they'd never heard it before. And I started to realize that the problem with workshops is you only take away a very small amount of what you hear. So I decided to put all my training online, and I created a thing called Inspiring Advisors, which is basically a video training program to help any advisor anywhere move from a financial advisor position to a comprehensive lifestyle financial planner. And there's 10 modules that break down the whole job into getting the right mindset, understanding what lifestyle financial planning really is, communicating that value to clients, when to pitch that service and how to pitch it, how to pitch your fees, how to charge bigger fees, how to get more of the right clients. So it covers a whole range of things to help you to succeed and prosper as a lifestyle financial planner. It's all on video. You can dip into it whenever you wish as to how you use it. So my offer then that I'd like to make available to you is a free trial of my training program. You get the first access to the first 1.5 modules, 2 modules. And also I'll send you my 2 books that Kirsty mentioned earlier, which is my book called 7 Habits of Highly Successful Financial Planners, and my book here called Enough. This book here, by the way, is designed to be given to clients. So this is a book that advisors use, my members use to give to their clients to explain what this is all about. And that works brilliantly well as a prospecting tool. And then also inside the portal, you can download the Financial Advisor Survival Guide, which Kirsty referred to earlier, which is my first book. It's actually a PDF. But that again has got some hard-hitting facts that hopefully will wake you up a little bit to realize where potentially your true purpose is.
Perfect, yeah. All right, let's just have a quick look. I just want to see if there's any particular questions which we should be asking before we finish off. And Louis, I'm also going to ask you if you can put up the list of Paul's books so that everybody can actually see those names. I know some of them are available on Amazon, so it might also be worth looking there. But just remember that Paul has offered them to you through Inspiring Advisors. So there we are. Those are the photos as such of the books to help you. Thanks.
Yeah, so if you go to FPI, F for Freddie, P for Papa, I for Indigo, fpioffer.co.uk, and that will give you access to the books and the free trial for 30 days. And after 30 days, if you like what you find, then stay a member. If you don't like it, then cancel. It's no problem.
Yeah, that's great. So I know that some of the questions in the chat were around the industry versus the profession, and I think you have clarified that, and you certainly clarified it in my mind. So I don't think there's anything else. Louis, I don't know if you want to, if I can pass it back to you, and if there's any questions that you would like to perhaps bring up at this stage.
Thanks so much, Kirsty and Paul. That's been amazing. I think just to confirm the link, the fpioffer.co.uk, please go through the process. Really easy to register. You'll get access to this great content that Paul's been talking about today that I think we all agree. I mean, we can see everyone in the chat saying the same thing. Yes, this is the way that the industry should be going, and we are creating these examples, and I think pulling people along. And thank you for that, Paul, being able to share that to
I think
members.
one closing statement that I'd like to just recap on really is that we've all got the good intentions, haven't we? We've all got good intentions to do the job in this way. We really, really have. There's no doubt about it. Every single person on this call probably would like to do the job this way, but they get caught in what I call a transaction trap. Okay, and I talk about in my training about how to avoid the transaction trap. And the transaction trap is when you've got good intentions to do this, but for some reason you just get caught talking about financial products and investments and performance and this fund versus that fund and charges and stuff, right? And that's the industry's power. The industry's done that to you, but also clients will often come to you with that in mind. And therefore, how do you get back to here? You have to start here. And therefore, what it requires from you is discipline. To stop talking about that really early on, otherwise you get caught in the trap and you'll have no way to go. So that's why this idea about saying, excuse me, Mr. Client, but this is how we do the work here. It's the E-myth again. This is how we do it here, right? This is how we do it here. We basically believe that until we know about you, we've got no right to talk about your money. I'll tell you what to do with it. So that's why we're asking you these questions. And that's when you can go through your comprehensive fact find with you in control of that first meeting. And again, that's what I cover in the training, really, how to do that. It's brilliant. And then from that point forward, so the beauty, if you get this right here, this stuff here, which are just tools in your bag, can then be kept as simple and as painless as possible for your client. But it's also as simple and painless for you and your staff as well. You don't want the hassle that this gives you. If we do this right here, knowing our client is never going to be an issue. From a regulator's point of view, we know our client plus, plus, plus. What we recommend to them just fixes their problem. It's never challenged.
It can be a difficult habit to break.
It is, and that's why I'm here to help you.
Great. Just having a look at the comments, everyone's saying thank you very much. There's been a question around CPD points. We've decided to make these sessions not count towards the CPD side and rather have people join in on the FPI convention to get their fix of CPD points. The quality is great, but we really want to keep that for the FPI convention. So please join us in October for that. You can register on the FPI's website. Everyone's agreeing and just saying thank you so much for your generous time and offer. Kirsty, is there any of the questions that you see that we didn't touch on?
I haven't seen any others. I really do think most of them have been answered already. So just so many compliments for you, Paul. Thank you. You've really been an absolute inspiration to us this afternoon. Outstanding, absolutely outstanding information that I have certainly received today, as well as through Inspiring Advisors. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Kirsty. Bye-bye.